Teen girls faking kidnapping, says JCF. UK says minimum wage increase is too small, while 14 firearms and more than 50 rounds of ammunition seized during a police operation. This is Undiluted News. Mikey Bones reporting. Local authorities are processing a group of Cubans who arrived illegally in Jamaica by boat on Sunday. About midday, residents in Coral Gardens in St. James contacted the police and reported sightings of foreign nationals exiting a small boat in the vicinity of Harvey Beach. On the arrival of the police, 6 Cubans were found near the vessel. Checks of their persons revealed several identification cards to include passports bearing their names, and attempts to gather more information regarding their arrival on the island were futile due to the language barrier. All 6 of them were detained. The Union of Clerical Administration and Supervisory Employees, UCASE, is urging the government to review the minimum wage for low-income earners. The new minimum wage increase came into effect on Sunday, June 1st, and it has moved from 15,000 to 16,000 per 40-hour work week. But UK's President Vincent Morrison argued that minimum wage earners and the island security guards cannot survive on the new increase. What the government should be looking at is something nearer to between 18,000 and 20,000 per week for security guards, he proposed. Mr. Morrison also urged the government to formalize a pension scheme for security guards across the island. The police high command is reporting an increase in the number of kidnapping incidents in which kidnappers pose as public transport operators. But station manager at the National Strategic Anti-Gang Division, Detective Inspector Paulette Winter Crossfield, was hesitant to describe these incidents as prevalent. She said motorists are operating motor vehicles pretending to be taxis, and then persons who are so unsuspecting, not knowing it's not a taxi, enter the vehicle, and then they are held at gunpoint in the vehicle and taken to ATM, then forced to give their banking information for the criminals to withdraw money. Commuters are now being advised to take only licensed taxis, noting that the previous incidents only involve illegal operators. Meanwhile, the Jamaica Constabulary Force is warning of a worrying trend where some teen girls are staging kidnappings to spend a prolonged period with their male friends. Station manager at the National Strategic Anti-Gang Division, Detective Inspector Paulette Winter Crossfield, said whenever these teens want to return home, they ask someone to contact their family members to say that they have been kidnapped and then demand a ransom. Speaking on a recent episode of the JCF Force for Good podcast, Detective Inspector Winter Crossfield said 18 cases were reported last year. Of that number, she explained that 2 were genuine, but in all other cases, the people returned home safely. And this year, the detective inspector said there have been 4 cases, 2 of them genuine, and 6 people have now been charged. Meanwhile, the police have seized another large cache of guns and ammunition. The Firearms and Narcotics Investigations Division is reporting that 14 firearms and more than 50 rounds of ammunition were seized during an operation on D-Side Avenue, Kingston 10 on Wednesday, May 28. The operation closely follows another substantial seizure of 238 illegal firearms and more than 40,000 rounds of ammunition on Tuesday of May 27. And reports are that at 7:40 p.m., an intelligence-led operation by FNID personnel resulted in the seizure of 2 rifles and 12 handguns, along with 12 magazines and 57 rounds of ammunition. 1 man was taken into custody, however, his identity is being withheld pending further investigations. And in addition to the suspect in custody, the FNID said it is actively searching for another suspect, Julian McLeish, who evaded the police, and he is urged to turn himself in immediately. The FNID team has seized approximately 269 firearms in just 1 week. And you heard right, 269 firearms seized in just 1 week. Good news out of St. James, which was one of the most murderous places on earth. The St. James Police Division has recorded only 1 murder in May. The division, headed by Senior Superintendent Aaron Samuels, renewed its anti-crime crackdown code named Operation Storm, which has been targeting criminal gangs in St. James. The lone murder happening in St. James stemmed from a domestic dispute. Speaking in St. James on Sunday night, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness highlighted the success of the St. James Police, adding that the resources provided by the government to the force are having an impact on crime fighting. Meanwhile, a man was fatally shot and two illegal firearms seized during separate incidents along the Jacks River Main Road in Oracabeza, St. Mary on Monday. The two men were taken into custody in relation to seizures. The police have not yet released the name of the deceased. The first incident occurred about 8:30 p.m. during a routine patrol when two men traveling on a motorcycle were signaled to stop. And during the officer's approach, one of the men reportedly brandished a firearm and pointed it in their direction. The officers took evasive action and discharged 4 rounds, hitting one of the men, and he was pronounced dead at hospital. A firearm was recovered from the scene, but the other man was arrested. Onto sports, unbeaten Black Stars and King FA will meet in the final of the St. Anne Football Association Major League tomorrow after contrasting semi-final wins over last season's champion Exchange United and Monique FC respectively over the weekend. On Sunday, Black Stars, who won 4 of 5 first-round games and drew the other, top Zone B and edge Zone A runners-up Exchange United 1-0 in their semi-final at Drax Hall, with Shamari Foodie Horton scoring the winner in the 18th minute. A day earlier, King FA, last season's Division 1 winner, came from a goal down to beat Monique FC 4-1 at Drax Hall, and the finals will be played tomorrow. And that's going to be news and sports on your favorite radio station. My name is Mikey Bones. I gone.